there's a lot of problems and people don't see that.
Yeah.
Obviously, not many players come out and speak about it.
Yeah, no.
And
I think that seems to be starting to change a little bit, though, doesn't it?
Hopefully.
Which is good to see. But even then, every time they come out, they get the same shit. Well, you're a footballer, so fuck. I remember Aaron Lennon. Yeah. Remember Aaron Lennon came out?
Yeah.
Said he was depressed and people were jumping on, what have you got to be depressed about?
You earn loads of money, you're a footballer.
I was like, what the And that's why normal men won't come out and talk about it. All right. Hey, 2 podcasts in 2 weeks. What is going on? Today, everyone, I feel like a children's presenter there. Today, we're talking shit with my man, Mr. Robert Blackburne.
Hopefully we're not talking shit.
Well, we'll be talking a little bit of shit. So, Rob, the reason I asked Rob on was because last week's podcast we did with my hero. You love that. Mr. Luke 09. And Rob was in the room. Rob actually organised it. And you might have heard a ghost in the background. That was Rob. And I thought, you know what? Rob's a smart guy, knows a lot of shit, can add a lot of value to the podcast. So, we're on.
I'm excited, mate.
You should be excited.
It's a nice turnaround. I don't know if you remember, years ago, we had a podcast. Me and Ed had a podcast. It's nice. You're interviewing me. I interviewed you.
Fuck off.
Yeah, it was probably 8 years ago. It's called Sex, Chips and Rock and Roll. So it's a nice
2000 and...
Oh, God knows, years ago.
14 or 15. Oh, mate, I can't remember anything because I was rock bottom then. I was rock bottom around that time. Where was I living? Here?
Yeah.
I would have probably just moved back home, which means I would have been working through some shit then. Yeah. And that's mad that I can't remember it. That's wild. So, Rob, speaking of rock bottom, so Rob's been Unstoppable for ages. What made you join Unstoppable? Because you're a smart fucking guy. You know a lot of shit. What made you jump into the game?
I've known you for years. Trust you. I've been through... It was your first thing. The email...
Bottom in the Muscle Inner Circle.
Oh,
the newsletter.
Muscle Inner Circle, yeah. So
shit.
It's a weird one. So I listened to you, how things turn around, like how things come. So it was listening to you on Ben Kuma.
Oh, shit. Do you know what I love about stories like this, Rob? What you're talking about here is a lot of guys and girls have came towards me like in the last few years, but you've actually seen where I was when I was doing well, where I was when I rock bottom, and then coming out on the other side of it. So, mate, I appreciate that for a start.
Yeah, so that's mad. Now I'm friends with Ben. I'm friends with you. It's how the world goes round.
It is mad.
Just shows that I related to you. Why am I in here? Because I see you in me.
Yeah.
The same kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like, you don't talk no shit. I don't talk no shit.
Yeah.
He tells you how it is.
Yeah.
I like to be told how it is.
Yeah.
Mine's not for the mindset stuff. It's the business, the accountability business, being a business owner.
Yeah. And real business shit as well, innit?
Yeah, if you're not held accountable,
you
don't do it.
Yeah.
That's the truth.
Yeah, I get it.
That's the truth.
So, Rob, I know you've had some challenges recently. You've had some challenges over the last few years.
Yeah.
Right now, what are you doing? What's your thing?
So it's Inner Game Academy is the big one. So me and Luke, we realised that there's a problem. There's a problem in football, but most people don't address it, and it's the players that come out for me, I have the pro players, 27, 28, 29, 30s.
Yep.
Because they've lived their whole life in fear.
And you've got them at all levels, right, as well?
Yeah. And you're like, well, you've got to hit the root of the problem, because the facts are 1 in 200 will make it as a pro. 1 in 4,500 will make it into the Premier League. There's more chance of being hit by a meteorite, and the failure rate's ridiculous. And then these players are all identifying as a footballer, but most of them aren't going to make it. So if the shit does hit the fan, which more than likely it will, it's a fine balancing act, because as a young footballer, you've got to believe you're going to make it. But the reality is you probably won't.
Yeah.
That's the reality.
Yeah.
So it's a really hard balancing act. So if we can give them the tools, so if me and Luke can give them the tools beforehand, like Luke said on the podcast, if we can help them deal with the tests first.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Let them, because the test is going to come. Like the younger players, they don't realise, like I did when I went through Chelsea, younger, massive ego.
Well, that's how I was going to say, like when you're talking about there's a problem in football, what is the problem?
No one knows they've got a problem. Yeah.
Oh, shit. Okay. Okay. And how did you stumble across this then? Because you just said it there and I was like, shit, we've got to jump on that. Like, how did you stumble? Like, how did you figure out there's this problem?
it's a weird journey. So my journey from being a personal trainer, it was always studying mindset and then nutrition, then did a bit of functional medicine, then it was NLP, CBT. So as you go through it, I was always looking
functional medicine, is that like drug dealing? I'm joking.
Nearly.
I'm joking.
Yeah, so
things never got that bad.
My journey's been really weird, and I didn't go into football by, I want to help footballers. It was, I knew a lot of footballers.
Because that was your background, right?
My background, my mate, the one who passed from motor neurone disease, he was 10 years older than me. All his friends were professional footballers. Yeah. So I was spending all my time with them. Yeah. And then he went into a football club. So he became a manager, assistant manager at Wickham. Yeah. And Leeds, to be fair. Yeah. And then he'd go, I need to get you in somehow. So like covertly get me in as a sports therapist.
Been like, do you know what it's been like for you, Rob, then is it's kind of like my career is I've stumbled into it.
Stumbled into
like there was no plan to do what I'm doing. There was no, I wouldn't even say there was a desire to do what I'm doing. I was just like, oh shit, there's a problem here. People are asking me to help them solve it. Maybe I'm onto something. Actually, I enjoy helping them solve it, and I'm fucking good at helping them solve it. So that's kind of what happens for you.
Yeah,
it's what happened for you, right?
Working for Wickham Wanderers in Wickham, players would just gravitate towards me because I've still played football. If you're a staff member, you haven't, a lot of the time you haven't played football. Yeah. The language, the language people use, they're trying to be professional. Yeah. Whereas I'd come in and be like, talking about my weekends, using the C-bomb, the F word, and they're like...
He means cunt and fuck.
Yes. And that's exactly the words. And then they'd go, oh, you're different. Yeah. You're like me. And if I've got a problem, do you know what's going to happen? And then...
You're more relatable.
More relatable.
Relatable. Yeah.
And then players would just start coming to me and asking me for advice. And then as I was doing that, I was like, there's a big problem. And here's the maddest story. Watching Sunderland Till I Die. Watching Sunderland Till I Die.
People say to me, if you watched that, I was like, it was bad enough fucking the first time around. I don't want to see that again. I don't want to live that experience again.
And then Jen went, if you watched it, you could see them all struggling with the pressure. Things are going wrong in Sunderland. Down in the city centre, they're getting shit. She's like, you need to help these people. No. You need to help these people.
And is that how you met Luke? Is that how you was that at Wickham?
No, so how I met Luke was Wickham Wanderers. He used to be at Wickham, and then one of my really good mates, one of the first persons that I started helping was called Matt Bloomfield, who's now Wickham's manager. So he's roundabout story. Yeah. And then I started the podcast, so it was like, right, I need to help more people. How do I do it? So these players I've been helping, then I kind of reverse engineered the process. It would be like, right, I'm going to help 5 players for nothing and I'm going to get them a result. And after I've helped them, I'm going to get them on the podcast. So I'm going to make my authority go up so they hear of me. Yeah. And then Matt said, you need to get Luke. You need to get Luke on the podcast. He's brilliant. His mindset's ridiculous. You need to...
And he's a talker.
Yeah. You need to get hold of him. You need to get hold of him. He'd be brilliant. He'd be really good.
And had he gone to Sunderland at that point?
He'd gone to Sunderland at that point. It wasn't too long in his Sunderland career. But
well, he didn't have an amazing start, did he?
No, and him and Blooms used to clash heads. So in training, they used to be... Because Blooms was the fittest. Then Luke come in. And then they was in the same position.
So there was a lot of competition.
They'd smash each other in training, But then because they realised they were pretty similar and then got on really well. Yeah. So he was like, so I was messaging Luke, he gave me his number. I'm messaging him and he's ignoring me. And I'm like, I was just messaging him, stop ignoring me. I'm getting you on the podcast. Yeah. And then before we come on the podcast, I did a training. I did a webinar, a masterclass for pros. Yeah. Loads of pros come on it and Luke come on it. And because he's so into learning, after he'd done that, he just literally started bombarding me with messages.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah. And then by default, he come onto my trainings. He wanted to know more. Yeah. And do you know that point where you're like, you've got it? Yeah. I've said it with a few players that I've worked with. You're like, you've got the X factor. Yeah. You've got it. And he had it. Yeah. And I was like, I need to take him under my wing. Yeah. So I did. And then it's the story of him coming onto my training courses and then him getting, like, we come really close. And then obviously you're here. He's there. Yeah. So then I come up to Sunderland and we go for dinners and lunches. And then now I was at Shritty's wedding. Yeah. Now we're like best mates. Yeah. Like, he's like my brother now. It's it's the maddest roundabout story.
Yeah.
And then obviously coaching him through things. So I've seen his journey as well, from really not saying much, being scared to be vulnerable, but really high emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
So then...
Can't shut him up.
Yeah. And now a brilliant coach.
Yeah.
Like, he's a really, really good coach, and he's really skilled at what he does. So my aim for him, like, is to make him better than me, because he started earlier. So my aim is he overtakes me. Yeah. That's the aim.
Yeah.
Like, give him everything that I've got, and then give him resources and
nice.
Because
So talk to me then. So we mentioned the problems. And I like to keep this really relatable to people. That's why when I was doing the podcast with Luke, I was like, I really want to ask this question. I really want to ask about fucking what position he wants to play in and all that. But I need to make it relatable to you guys that listen. So what are some of the problems that footballers have that maybe the average person listening in, I mean, not that I'm saying anyone's average, but the average person listening in could relate to? What are some of the, or that they don't know about?
Exactly the same problems.
Really?
It's exactly the same. It doesn't matter if you're a professional footballer. Like, for example, your niche is business people, so high performers struggle with like exactly the same problems. It doesn't matter if it's football, and a lot of the players, it isn't on the pitch stuff. They present on the pitch, but it's not an on the pitch problem. It's an off the pitch problem. There's so much stuff going on underneath. It's their belief systems. It's what they've been told as a kid in the academy. I need to believe in myself. I need to believe in myself more. I'm like, why do you?
What does that even mean?
Yeah, what is it? Yeah. And because the coach has said you always have to believe in yourself, and they've taken that forward. It's the player now, Premier League footballers that I deal with, still struggling with the car journey home from their parents. So how do you relate it? It's I've talked about it in your things, the 4 fears in football, but it doesn't matter if it's football. It's life, judgment, the unknown, expectations, failure. The same problems. It doesn't matter what it is. It's just on a higher, higher level. You get judged at a higher level.
Yeah, it's like new levels, new levels, new devils. They kind of say, like people think that
40,000.
Aye, people say that like when I grow my business, the problems will go away. I'm like, actually, it's kind of the same problems. They're just at a different level. It's like a higher level problem you have to solve.
Higher level problem. And what people don't realize, and they forget, that is they're young men. They're really young. And it's like, why do you help professional footballers?
I've noticed that footballers have kids very young.
Yes.
It's almost like they're pushed to do it, so it settles them down. I hear that a lot. I'm like, why the fuck would you force someone to do that?
Because it's
mad that.
You've got to stay in and recover. So you train.
Yeah.
You might go in at, let's say, 9:30.
Yeah.
You finish at 12:30. And then what have you got to do for the rest of the day? What do? You have to, quote unquote, recover.
Yeah. That
is chill.
Yeah.
Do nothing. Watch Netflix. It's fucking boring.
Yeah.
So do you know what I do? We're going to get tattoos. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Then we've got all these other things going on. Like, let me see, I'll have kids.
Yeah.
And that's what managers tell people. Alex Ferguson used to say it to people. Settle down early.
You're going to settle down.
Get the kids in and like.
Yeah. It's mad, isn't it?
So they're all these young lads, and they're expected to be heroes to many. Yeah. At a really young age. Look at Joe Bellingham, for example, 17 years. He's 17 years old.
And look at his comparison.
Yeah, up
his
to 25.
That's fucking amazing.
Exactly. They're the part of the 0.1%.
Yes. Yeah.
But if you think of us at whatever age we were, 20 to 25, we were dicks.
At 17, fucking hell.
And at 17, you're expected, and you've got like these, you've got a 17-year-old, you've got these 60-year-old men telling them they're shit and they're useless, and you're like, people don't get like that.
Yeah.
Like,
no, they don't.
Like, for example,
I was saying yesterday, I read so many things where I'm like, really? He should just have to deal with people abusing him because he's paid highly. I'm like, really? Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, they're like,
fair game.
Footballers are fucking overpaid this. And I'm like, well, if it's that easy, why aren't you doing it? I have this thing all the time with it. I'm like, it's not that easy because they don't realise that football career is short, that they have to give up their entire fucking, they're giving up, there's a lot of sacrifices, I think, to be a footballer.
And the way I like to explain it is this. So footballers live their life backwards in a weird way. So 18, 19, 20, you're up here. But as you get older and you get to 35, you're you're starting again. Your whole identity.
It's like a new life, isn't it?
It's a new life. You've done what you're doing. You've had 40,000 fans, all these high.
You've been told what to do and when to do it for fucking years.
It's suddenly gone, where most normal people, 18, you've got no idea what the fuck you want to do. And then at 35, you're hitting the peak of your career. So they're living things backwards. And people like, as I said, people, why'd you help professional footballers? I'd like to see you, right? What's your job? And I'm sitting in an office. Can you imagine, right? You're sitting in an office and you got your boss sitting over your shoulder saying, you're fucking useless, you're shit.
I'm going to replace you next week.
You're shit, you're fucking useless. And you're like, do you know what? Oh my God, that's been a hard day. And then suddenly, do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to check my phone. And then suddenly you've got all these notifications on your phone saying, Dick, you ruined my weekend, go kill yourself.
Yeah.
Racism.
Yes.
And then you go...
Talking about their fucking families and that.
Yeah, I'm going to go for a night out. You go for a night out. And then you've got the same thing. You've ruined my weekend.
Yeah.
I've been with players down the street and they're being called a cunt. And you're like, you don't know him. Mm-hmm. Or it's just your perception of him. He's played for... You hate him because he's played for a football club. That's like... In all day, he works for a different company than you do. Hold on a minute.
It's so weird.
But people can't get their heads around that. Yeah. They're like, I've never thought.
And then they're
like
just
that.
like, well, they get paid enough. I'm like, that doesn't mean that anything.
With more money, more problems. You don't know what to do with it. They don't get it. I think the stat is 40% of players struggle with money after their career.
Mm-hmm. That's insane, isn't it?
Yeah, or go bust.
That's insane.
That's wild. They have hangers on. They have people trying to take from them.
Yeah. I bet they've got people trying to exploit them all the time, charging them putting an extra zero on things because they know they're a footballer. I'm pretty sure that happened to me this week with that thing I was talking about, the hot thing.
Yeah.
I was like, you charging me that much because you know what I'm doing and where I'm at.
Yeah, one of my friends he was a professional footballer, financial advisor, done him over, took everything he had.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, now he's a financial advisor.
Oh wow, that's amazing. That's amazing.
For footballers, yeah.
So I want to come back to those things that you mentioned that people struggle with, the fears. Mm-hmm. The first one was fear of judgment.
Yeah.
Everyone on here will have that. Worry about what people think, right? Mm-hmm. Even my favorite ones are the people. I don't give a fuck what people think. I'm like, well, you do, or you wouldn't. There's no way you would have said that.
I used to say that.
Yeah, because if you didn't give a fuck what people think, you don't have to say it. You're just trying to tell me that you. Anyway, what do you share with players then to help them with that?
Oh, that's a really good question.
I know.
So
it's not my first rodeo.
You've done this many a time. So I like to use a paradox. So they say the fear of judgment. I'm scared of managers judging me, fans judging me, and I'm like, cool.
It's happening anyway, isn't it?
Yeah. I'm like, where are you now? So they go, well, I'm at this. What's your goals for the future? I want to play in the Premier League. I want to play for England. So paradoxically, doesn't that mean that you need people to judge you? I'm like, fuck,
I get it, yeah. Because someone's got to decide whether you're going to play for England or not.
Yeah, you need people scouting you. You need people looking at you. You've got the selectors if you're going to go to England.
You've got to get picked.
So actually, you need to be judged more, not less. Yeah, you're right, fuck. I've never thought about that. So let's go towards judgment rather than head away from it. Let's go towards it. So what I do is a lot of times it's like do the opposite. Stocks and shares. While stocks are high, you sell. While they're low, you buy. You do the opposite. So we're like, let's head towards judgment. If you're not getting judged, you're not doing enough.
Yeah, it's almost like give me more.
Yeah.
Give me more. Yeah. And that's something that you learn even doing what I do. Like the bigger you get, the more followers you get, the more podcast downloads you get, the more criticism you get. It's part of me fear with this next book. I'm like, do I really want this book to blow up? Because then I'm attracting all sorts of fucking shit. But it's you got to think about it as a footballer. It's kind of the cost of entry to what you want in it. Yeah. It's the judgment is the price you have to pay to get where you want.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, that's kind of another sacrifice, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the price you have to pay, and you're going to get judged for whatever you do anyway. You do nothing, you'll be judged for it. You sit in your room and do nothing,
and you judge yourself.
And people will still judge you for it. Yep. So you might as well get judged for the shit that you love doing.
For going all in, I think. Yeah. Get judged for going fucking all in.
Yeah, it's happened with players. Like their turns have been so big when it's them 4 fears. It always comes down to one of them.
The next one was fear of
not meeting expectations.
Yeah, talk to me about that.
So fear of not expectations.
Expectations of yourself?
Expectations of yourself, where you expect to be. Expectations of the game. So we do this. There's loads of exercises that we do. So I draw a graph. This will help people here. So I'll be like, right, what is your what's your expectations of yourself? What's your in-game expectations? With players, it's never lose the ball. Win every tackle. Strikers, score every game.
Yeah.
Make an assist.
Yeah.
Then so I'll get them to write down all their expectations.
Yeah.
Then I draw a graph, and it would be unhappy face at the top, smiley face in the middle, smiley face down there, and then draw a line. And I'd be like, right, first one, let's put it in the graph. Where in the expectations, where is it? Score a goal every game. So you've got 50 games a season, you expect to score 50 goals. With 50 assists.
Yeah.
With not giving that. So as they go through it, then they get to the realistic ones. The middle ones, the realistic ones. And then that becomes their realistic ones. Like, right, should we just focus on these?
Yeah.
Let's fuck all them off.
Yeah.
Because...
Well, that's perfection, the other thing, isn't it?
Yeah. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
That's what players expect.
Yeah.
And then Luke does this really good training on intentions. He said about it yesterday. So what we do is like, what players will do in their head will be, their expectations is like, make a good pass, tick. Assist, tick. So they expect a row of ticks. So just tick, 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 tick. And what will happen with players is when they get a cross, then it'll be followed by a cross. And we call it in football hide and seek.
Okay.
So players will play hide and seek. Give me the ball, give me the ball, give me the ball.
Yeah.
But there's no chance they're going to get the ball. They make it look like they want
Oh,
the ball.
so they look like they want it, but they're not actually
There's
in a
no
position.
chance no one's
They
gonna
can't
get it.
receive the ball.
Yeah, so we call it hide and seek.
Oh, that's it.
And then
I've
what
never
we do
heard
is
of that
like,
before.
we're like, instead of basing your game off outcomes, why don't you base it off intentions? So you'll see Luke.
Essentially, did I try?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, did I have the right intention? The outcome might not come off, but the intention was right. You'll see Luke.
So you're almost,
it's
like where you'll say focus on the process versus focus on the end result for normal people.
And then get a feedback loop. It's a really good one.
So it's like when people focus on, like, did I make a sale today? Well, no, I didn't, but did I send an email? Did I make a post? Did I do what was required, even though I didn't get the outcome that I wanted?
You can't control the outcome.
Yeah.
But you can control the process and the intention.
Yes.
So it'd be like, right, let's control the process and the outcome will come by default. I think there was a study done on people who had the outcome. So they interviewed loads of people and they branched them off into two sections. The people who focus on the outcome and then the people who focus on the process. And what they found was the people who focused on the outcome never got there. And the people who focused on the process got to the outcome by default.
That's really, yeah. If you do the right stuff for long enough.
Yeah, the consistency. So said, we'll do a tick. So you'll see Luke, a lot of the time, he would try a long pass straight away because he's like, I'm going to get the mistake out of the way first. Because most people go, I don't make a mistake.
And with his left foot.
With his left foot, yeah. He used to take penalties with his left.
No.
Yeah, it's mad.
Mate, honestly, he's been in Sunderland for 5 years now, right? I didn't even know until maybe towards the end of last season that he even could play a ball like that with his left foot. No one did. Everyone around me was like, fucking hell, is he pinging that left foot cross-field pass? It's mad.
The practice he put in when he was younger, like just kicking tennis balls against the wall, controlling it. Yeah. Like he's got stuff that it makes it look easy because he just puts so many hours in, and he's...
See the video of Berbatov kicking the ball against the wall?
I did.
Fucking amazing. I showed Max it. I was like, that's how I learned to play a bit of football, just kicking the ball against the wall. It's mad. It's mad how simple that can be. Sorry. So what you're saying, he wants to get the shit part out the way fast. Yeah. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, basically, if he makes a mistake, he's like, well, it's done now. So it's kind of acceptance. So what we talk about in football, a lot of it, if you say the levels of consciousness, one of the higher levels of consciousness is acceptance. People struggle with that. They really struggle with the acceptance part. So we're like, right, as a player, when I get you in, it's going to be like, right, let's lay the cards on the table. You're going to fuck up. You're going to cost your team. You're going to foul. You're going to be dropped. You're going to be judged. People are going to talk shit about you. Yeah. That's going to happen. Yeah. Accept it before you even start.
So you tell them the price. This is the price. Are you willing to pay it, innit? Do you know what I mean? That's like when you say, even in business, you're like, any goal, I'm like, what price? What price do I have to pay? What sacrifice do I have to make? What do I have to take on? What could come my way? And then you've got to ask yourself the question, like, am I willing to pay it? And if you're not willing to pay it, don't even fucking start. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Especially with goalkeepers, being a goalkeeper, it's the acceptance that you're going to make a mistake. It just frees people.
And you're going to criticize more than anyone else.
You're going to make a mistake.
Scrutinize more than anyone else.
Yeah. A massive scale.
Yeah.
So it's like, lay the cards on the table. As a goalkeeper, me being a former, you're going to fuck up. You're going to make a mistake. It's going to cost the team. So when it happens, instead of arguing about it, you could, the best players have the ability to accept it and move on quickly.
Yeah.
The ones that don't, they mentally messed about it all weekend and go over it. And instead of making that mistake once, they've made it 1,000 times. Yeah. And instead of taking the lesson from it and the learning and the positives, which is it's a feedback loop. Yeah. So you have the right intention. Yeah. Right. It may have been a cross, but it's a tick because you had the right intention. Yes. Now, what's the feedback loop? So like Luke would go, and he said yesterday, commentating in his head, he'd be like, right, I didn't strike through it enough. I didn't hit this part of my laces. Yeah. That's all right. I take that. Yeah. Where most players can't do that. Yeah. And it's due to the training.
And that'll happen a lot to people in life. Like the first thing I thought of was like a dad, for example, that shouts at his kid. He's going to shout. A lot of guys are going to shout at their kid and then be like, fucking hell, what did I do that for? What did I do? I'm just like, because I'm not, I would consider myself a fucking good dad, but I'm not perfect. And sometimes I lose the shit with a kid. Instead of beating myself up about it and thinking about it for days, I just apologize really quickly. Really quickly. I'm like, oh man, I'm sorry. That was idiotic. What was that? And I laugh at it because I want to clear it. It's almost like I'm clearing it straight away. The longer I stew on it, it's almost like the more of a fucking drama you make it into. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, like you make it worse than what it actually was. And I remember, I mean, for footballers it's different if they're watching TV, but Joe Dispenza's like, if 50% of our memories aren't even true. So for football it's a little bit different because you can watch it, but actually you're probably making it worse than what it is. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, players make it worse than what it is.
Yeah, making it into a bigger drama than what it is. Yeah.
It's a massive drama.
So the next one, so we've got fear of judgment.
Not meeting your expectations.
Not meeting your expectations.
And my best saying is, I always say it to every player that I get in, I say it so many times that it sticks into my head. I'm like, expectations will fuck you.
You said that to me yesterday?
Yeah, I did,
you said that to me yesterday?
It's so ingrained in me. I'm like, listen, expectations will fuck you. So as soon as they don't meet your expectations, they put it on their lessons or they write it like, expectations will fuck you. I'm like, you're right, they will.
But that's where all stress is. That's where all fucking anger is. Yeah. That's where a lot of negative emotions are actually when expectations and reality just fucking crash with each other.
Expectations.
Yeah.
It would be, what's that? The happiness equation. Reality minus your expectations equals happiness.
Yeah.
Really good.
Yeah.
People don't deal with reality.
Perfect.
They're arguing with it constantly. Yeah. Arguing reality.
Friction is fucking, it's like reality and expectation just rubbing against each other and getting loads of friction. For some people, that's enough to make them fucking explode.
And it's really hard when you coach it as well because you still deal with it yourself. You just get out of it quicker.
Yeah. I don't think it ever actually goes away.
No.
Yeah. I think you just catch yourself sooner. Yeah. You know what I mean? No, I'm like noticing it, and I learned this off Dispenza, like noticing it's a win. Like noticing faster, apologizing faster as a win. And then eventually I'll probably do it less, and then I may never do it at all, but I'm fucking human. So fear of failure, talk to me about this. Everyone has this.
So fear of failure. I'm like, first of all, you have to question what is failure. So you have to ask questions. What actually is failure?
Not trying is a fucking failure for me. I made a post about it this morning. I'm like, you're not doing it because you're failing. You're already fucking failing. The thing you're scared of is already happening because you haven't started the business that you're scared of starting because you might fail. You've already failed.
Yeah, so we do the same things again. It'd be like, what does failure mean to you? So we have to find out what the meaning is of failure. What does
in Peter? You're reading Peter Sage's book, right?
Yeah,
you say that yesterday. So Peter has this thing about failure where he's like, it's not actually failure that's the problem. This is what you think failure means. Like you think failing makes you a failure or whatever. It's a really interesting thing.
And then it will come down to the fear of judgment, what people think. So then it will lead into
that's what it is, I think.
Then it will lead into another fear, and then you'll go through it, and it would be like the fear of failure. And as you start breaking it down, we go deeper down the rabbit hole, and you get the beliefs, and then you get to the real core of it. So like the actual root of the problem. Yeah. I like to liken it when I work with players. I'm like they present. It's like a tree. So the tree is the symptoms, the soft problem, and then you've got the root, the hard problem underneath. So we've got to get to the hard problem. So going failure. So you're like, what is failure? Have you failed before? How was you with it? Failure is learning. Yeah. What happened as a consequence of that failure? What was positive about that? So then I'll start breaking things down and be like, right, that failure that you had, like in the past, let's go back to that perceived failure you had. If you could delete that and everything that happens as a consequence, you could delete gets deleted too.
Like a timeline.
Yeah. So if you go back, you delete that.
You sound like fucking Doctor Strange. You know Doctor Strange? You know Doctor Strange? Aye, you sound like him. Aye.
So I use the butterfly effect. So I'm like, go back, delete that failure. Matt Bloomfield, for example, he missed a penalty at Wembley in the playoff final in front of thousands of fans.
Yeah.
And he was distraught.
Yeah.
And I remember saying to him, in a couple of years' time, I'm going to ask you a question. I'm not now. In a couple of years' time, I'll ask you a question. That was a failure. Then the next season, they got promoted. And then the next season, they got promoted
again. Yeah.
I like, Blooms, I've got to ask you a question now. I'm going to ask you that question now. If you go back and delete that failure, right, that perceived failure, that penalty at Wembley, right, you can keep it or you can discard it. Yeah. Right, you can have that penalty again. What would you do? It's like, I miss it every day of the week.
Well, mate, this is really ironic. Sunderland, Mickey Gray, remember that penalty miss? 1996 or something? Yeah. He missed that penalty, gutted. The next season, we got like 100 and something points. Like, we walked that league the next season, then we had all those years in the top flight. But if we'd have gone up to, I think that would have happened this season. If we'd have got promoted this season, Sunderland, I think would really fucking struggle. It would have been too early. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no.
So, we got beat off Luton in that thing and no one was that bothered because, number one, we actually went beyond expectations, right? And then we wouldn't have been fucking ready. I think a lot of them lads are too young. There's no fucking money there. It's a really strange thing. And then
expectations have been shifted.
And that's why it's fucking horrible at the minute. They've had it's happening at Newcastle as well. Everyone's getting a taste of what it's like to be well, and then you forget about actually how far you've come. And then you're like, why aren't we in the Champions? Like, why aren't we top of the league? Why aren't we in the Premier League? Why have we lost 2 games? Really weird. The expectations is fucking Sunderland bad right now.
Yeah, get in the playoffs minimum.
Yeah.
That's the expectation. We should be in the playoffs. Yeah. Like, they're playing
year,
really well.
Start of last season, we'll be happy finishing 16th, 17th. And then you started seeing a little success and then everyone started losing their shit. So talk to me then about some of the, because I know you mentioned yesterday about some of the darker periods that footballers might have. What have you seen happen? Because you mentioned suicidal thoughts yesterday, and I was like, let's get deep on this shit.
There's a lot of problems, and people don't see that. Yeah. Obviously, not many players come out and speak about it.
Yeah, no.
And
I think that seems to be starting to change a little bit, though, doesn't it?
Hopefully.
Which is good to see. But even then, every time they come out, they get the same shit. Well, you're a footballer, so fuck. I remember Aaron Lennon. Yeah. Remember Aaron Lennon came out?
Yeah.
Said he was depressed and people were jumping on. What have you got to be depressed about?
You earn loads of money, you're a footballer.
I was like, what the and that's why normal men won't come out and talk about it. Do you know what I'm saying? It's a really interesting thing.
So you think normal blokes won't ever speak about it?
No.
But the expectation is a footballer. Oh, what you got to worry about?
I've had that as well. Like, what you got to worry about? You got loads of. I'm like, depressed and don't give a fuck about how much money I've got. Didn't care. So
that's another problem. That's the other caveat to the money problem. Mm-hmm. Like, the money ain't gonna last. You ain't getting, and people only. That's the other problem is the perception. They only see the top 1%. They see the Premier League.
Yeah.
When the reality is they don't see lower down the leagues, even championships since COVID.
Nothing. Yeah.
I know players that were on, so they're on 40 grand, and now they're only getting off for 5 grand. Mm-hmm. So they can't even pay their mortgage.
Mm-hmm. And
they look after loads of their families.
It's mad how quick that career can be taken away from you in a fucking instant. Do you know what I mean? You got the player we were talking about yesterday, Jordan, who was fucking flying, got injured, 2 years out. Now he's fucking, he was on the rise. I thought he looked fucking very good. He got injured and his kind of career's almost been taken away from him, hasn't it? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
It's and in that business, you could legit. It's like saying, and the problem is they've invested so much into it, they've got nothing else they can do. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like
their whole life has been football.
Gone.
Yeah.
Through usually no fault of their own, and quite young, and they've probably gone Billy Big Balls when they got their first contract and bought a flash car and all that. And people don't understand this.
Yeah, I've heard stories of players in academies. They get their first paycheck and then they go and buy all the designer gear.
Yeah.
And then they get in the car. And then they don't live. One of my first things is, have you got a financial advisor?
Yeah.
Have you got someone helping you that aspect? Because that's a part, obviously finance is a part of mindset. Mm-hmm. It is
well, it's one of the biggest causes of stress, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's never, I was saying this, I'm actually putting together a talk I think it's the 10th of September. I've got a thing in Brighton, and I'm like, there's nothing that causes as much friction, arguments, or fallouts as much as money does. People don't get that emotional about that gets people more emotional than almost anything else. If I want to trigger someone on the internet, I mention money. And it's done. That's it. As soon as I mention money, done. Or even if I mention booze, people get triggered by it as well. It's a real weird thing. It has a lot of emotional attachment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So money's a big problem.
Yeah.
And then in football, what you see is Dele Alli spoke about it.
Yeah.
Sleeping pills. Like, there's some things I can't say.
Yeah.
That happens in football.
Yeah.
Snus, massive.
What?
Massive problem in football.
What's snus?
What? Really?
Snus?
Snus, yeah.
What the fuck's that?
The nicotine patch you put under your gum.
Oh,
You
shit.
seen
Okay.
it? So you put a nicotine patch under
Snuff. I think we call it snuff.
your gum. I think that's something completely different.
Is it?
I think you might be talking about like snuff movies where it's like
Oh, shit. Okay.
extreme porn.
Okay. dwarf porn.
Yeah.
It's a nightmare, that.
It's called snus.
Right.
Massive problem in football. A lot of players are addicted to it.
Really?
Yeah, you'll see players like I know players who are drinking before games, drinking at nights.
No.
Yeah, it's so you see the alcohol covering it up.
And that still happens now?
Yeah,
Does it?
Yeah.
Because I remember back in the day... It was a
yeah.
problem. Gaza, fucking people like that talking about they used to get on the sesh. Roy Keane talks about it all the time. We used to go in the pub and...
But then it was something you do. And
But you think
like,
it still happens? Oh, sorry, I'm not even going to say... And you know it still happens.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah, it still happens. Drinking. So it's making yourself feel better.
Yeah.
It's the stress.
Yeah.
As I said, people don't see it. They only see... It's all... everything's so perception-based.
Yeah, to see them fucking celebrating a goal... Getting all the adulation from the fans.
The highs are really high, the lows are really
How
low.
do you teach people to deal with those then? Because I think that, obviously, football is extreme, but everyone in their life has highs and lows. When people talk about the holiday blues, they've had a high on holiday, and now they're back to the grind. Like, how do you teach people to deal with that? Or how do you teach players to deal with that?
So I put them for a process, so it's...
I remember you saying one thing to me. I was like, what's the difference between... this player and this player? I didn't even mention it. I was like, what do you think is the difference between like a world-class player and someone that isn't? And you said the world-class players don't get too high and don't get too low.
Yeah, the ability to move on quickly. You'll see players, they have a bad game. So if you think you have a bad game on a Saturday, you get down there, then you've got to get yourself back up by a Tuesday. Yeah. Or you're really high, and then so it's really hard to pull yourself level again.
Yeah.
So if you can stay emotionally stable throughout it, you got the highs, you celebrate the high, and then it's done. Most players, Luke struggled with it. What's next? You win the promotion, what's next? And then we had Gilberto Silva on a training, and name dropping, there we go.
Good.
We had Gilberto Silva on a training.
How did you get him up, by the way? That's such a... When I seen it, I was like, that's so random.
Oh, it's just random. Like, I still can't get my head around it.
He's
like,
a top player.
Yeah, I went to breakfast with him a few weeks ago.
Oh.
And he'd be like, in Manchester,
Yeah.
do you want to go for breakfast? I'm like, and I still can't get my head around it. I'm sitting there, and we're having breakfast, and I'm sitting with Gilberto Silva for 3 hours. It's Gilberto Silva. It's a World Cup. It's a World Cup winner. He's won the World
mad,
Cup.
isn't it?
He's an Arsenal invincible, and he's
Is this where you start to realise? Because I realised this when I started interviewing fucking big players like Tyson Fury and that. I'm like, these are just normal fucking...
Yeah, just normal people.
That's what you realise, then you're like, actually,
that's
this
one
is
of
just...
the things he's like.
He's a normal guy, he's just good at football.
You have to stay humble. So it was like how Luke asked him on the... He was so good. Luke asked him, he's like, Gilberto, how did you deal with going from winning the World Cup to then, after the World Cup, then going to play football? It's like, I really struggled with...
going back to training.
Yeah, going back to training, winning, and then going to Arsenal. And then, for example, when Sunderland got promoted, I was up here and I really struggled afterwards. And he said, Luke, you've got new challenges.
I was waiting for your fucking Portuguese accent.
I can do it.
I did. Luke, you're my boy.
Yeah, it is, yeah. It's like, we have new challenges. So it was, I won the World Cup and now I've got the next challenge. Next challenge is I'm moving to a new country. I've got a new language. I've got new teammates. And then what people struggle with is they think that's their ceiling. But what happens is you have to make your ceiling your new floor. So your ceiling now becomes your new floor.
Yeah.
So you built the foundations, and what you're doing is you're building floor upon floor, but you're starting again. You've now got to create that new floor.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
And Luke's furiously right.
Do you know that's the same for everybody? And I think when the moment I get it all the time from people, when you're going to be satisfied? Like, when I have a fucking satisfactory life, and that's not for me. Do you know what I mean? When you're going to be satisfied, you should appreciate what you've got. I'm like, well, I do. But that appreciating what you've got, you can appreciate what you've got and fucking want more of it.
But you've got to be aiming towards something.
Otherwise, you go around in fucking circles, in my opinion.
Get stuck. We've just been upstairs. Like, people just...
They get stuck, huh?
I get stuck.
Yeah.
That's what I used to.
We haven't got a clearer vision of the future. We don't know what's next. We don't know what the next target is. And I think that actually when we talk about footballers retiring, they probably have the same problems that the likes of Tyson Fury had. And Middleton talked about it as well. They get to the peak of their career. And you'll have seen it on his documentary. He doesn't know what to fucking do with himself. He hasn't got boxing. Because there's no goal. In fact, I heard his dad say something really cool. Was Tyson sets all these mini goals. And if he hasn't got these mini goals to work towards, he just goes around in circles. Or... ultimately goes backwards. And that happens with footballers when they retire, I bet.
Yeah, I've got a player now that I'm working with. He's 22. And his biggest problem is when he's 35.
He's already worrying about that?
Yeah. It's his biggest problem.
Fucking hell.
After football.
Fucking hell.
That's 12
I mean, that's
12
quite...
years down the line.
It's quite an interesting thing to think about, but focusing on it all the time can be detrimental. Yeah, so you think about it, he'll have been told he's got to think about it. Because you're told you got to think about what happens when your career's over, but it sounds like it's been rammed into him so much that he can't focus on the short term.
It's a good thing. It's a good thing because then he can, right, what can I do? I can have different investments. Yeah. Like Luke, by default, has created a business that he can do after football.
One of my neighbours plays for Derby, and he must have about 30 properties in South Shields. Yeah, he plays for Derby, he played for Sunderland, Leicester, Rangers, Wigan, Coventry last year, Huddersfield. So he's had a good career. And he's got a lot of property in South Shields. Straight away started it. So I think he signed for Leicester when he was maybe 19. And he just started putting it into property straight away. Yeah. Smart move.
You see something.
And Robbie Fowler's got like fucking 500 houses or something, I heard.
Ridiculous. You'll hear some like younger players. I've dealt with some 19-year-olds, 21-year-olds. And you're like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
You are ridiculous. Like you are unbelievable. Like already, I'm investing already. I'm putting this away. And then I want to get ahead of my mindset. That's why I want to be the best that I can be. Yeah. And you're like, wow, that is ridiculous. 19, 20, 21. I was like, you're ahead of me.
Yeah.
You're ahead of where I was. So I have no idea what I wanted to do.
What are some of the biggest challenges that you have then? So we've talked about kind of football. What are some of the biggest challenges that you have with helping these players?
My challenges personally?
Yeah, with helping these players. Yeah. What's the hardest part about helping more players?
Get my message across.
Yeah.
Realizing that they need it, that the shit's going to hit the fan eventually. The shit is going to hit the fan.
Yeah. And trying to communicate, that's probably quite difficult, isn't it?
Trying to communicate that to people, players, and young lads who are 21, 19. You've got the academy, 16 to 20s. That's our age group. And then younger players, 20 to 25, and telling them, listen, you think your mindset's strong, but you're going to be tested. And then when you get tested, then you'll find out what you're made of. Like, do you pass that test? Like, whereas in your panic, like COVID hit, right? People thought, oh, I've got a great mindset. But then they was out buying shit paper. They was out buying toilet paper. They
realised they didn't like their wife.
Yeah.
They realised their wife didn't work in Woolworths anymore.
Yeah, that was their way of trying to gain control. Yeah. But that was like, instead of asking a better question, like if you're more trained, you're more prepared for it, and it'd be like, COVID hit me, Luke. It was like, what's the opportunity in the madness? Why everyone's going to buy toilet paper, what the fuck are we doing? Who do we need to get hold of? Who do we need to ask? Why we're not spending this money out, what can we put this into and invest into? And it's the same as football. You're going to have that, Luke, you're going to have that injury. You think your mindset's good, but when you have that injury,
you're going to see.
Then you'd be tested. Yeah. And then
funny enough, I did a voice note this morning. I dropped it in my Telegram where I said, when things go bad, it's your opportunity to show how fucking good you are. You know, things go bad in my business, it's an opportunity to show people how good I am. So when shit like someone comes on a webinar and starts chatting absolute shit in the fucking comments, people love it when I just like, I throw people out and they're like, Paul, you dealt with that like a boss. I'm like, yeah, when things go bad, it's your opportunity to show how fucking good you are. when things go bad, it's an opportunity for you to show how good your mindset is.
Because you've had so many things go bad before. You've got the experience.
Trained for it.
You've trained for it. You've prepared for it. You've already built.
There's a quote that I love. I don't know who said it, but I read it by this martial arts. I think he's a journalist. Someone called Jack Slack. Great name. Jack Slack with a hairy crack. He said that during times of stress, difficulty, and challenge, you don't rise to the level of your expectations. You fall to your lowest level of training. And I'm like, yeah, that's true. When things get hard, you see what you've been training. You see where you've been working. You see what you've been doing and I love this quote as well that I read, which is the bright lights reveal what you've done in the dark. Yeah. I fucking love that shit, me. I mean, that's powerful.
So true. As a footballer, every time you ask a footballer, you say, and I ask this on podcasts, be like, what do you need as a professional footballer? And the word everyone throws out is resilience. You need resilience. But you can train resilience. You can train it and do the work. But the resilience is built when you hit the shit. I'm like that.
Well, I suppose your level of resilience is only going to be. Your level of resilience is only going to be kind of comparable to the level of challenge you've faced. Do you know what I mean? Like that's exactly what it is. It's kind of your level of resilience is going to rise to the level of challenge you've actually faced, I think.
So then you say, listen, what do you need as a footballer? If resilience is one of the skills you need, then you need challenge. So you need to be put through the shit. There was a clip on Hormozy the other day that I saw. It's like, if you want to build a patient human being, you wouldn't give him things instantly. If you want to build success, you would you'd make him wait. For example, that's the same kind of thing. You're going to have the challenge. How are you going to deal with that challenge when it comes along? Like, that's going to build your armor. So let's go. You get the challenge. You're like, let's change the way. Like, you're going to get drops. Amazing. I've picked up Luke's language now. I say, you may have noticed, he goes, nice. Every time someone says that, I'm like, nice. I'm like, nice. I'm speaking to Luke. I'm speaking to Luke too much. I'm like, yeah, nice. I like that. Yeah, that's what you need. Let's look forward to being dropped. Look forward to being dropped, and then you'll see what you're made of. Look forward to making a mistake, and then you can be like...
Good.
So that by doing that, it actually breaks free of the shackles. Like the language players will use, and they use this a lot, and it's... which I use in my stuff, it would be, I want to break free from the shackles of negative thinking. That's I want to break free from the shackles. I feel like I'm shackled. I'm shackled.
I'm so glad you said that. What do you work on them with negative thinking? Because I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing, but what do you share them with the players to give them the edge on negative thinking? Like, what's that? What are you doing with them?
So again, we do a training.
What are you teaching them?
So we'll be like, what are the negative thoughts? So you have negative thoughts during a game. If you're not present, like Luke said, 2-3 seconds ahead, you'll have these negative thoughts. You'll have time to think. So it'll be like, right.
What if I give this away? What if I lose this?
And in sports psychology, it's called ants, automatic negative thoughts. And the good way to explain it is like ants build up. So they build up. Think of little ants. And what they do is they cause an infestation. And if they cause an infestation, they cause a nest.
It's making me itchy, this. I'm not even kidding. You're talking about it, I'm fucking scratching all the time.
So it'd be like, right, let's stomp these ants out one by one. So let's question it. First of all, you have to be aware of it. Let's be aware of it. And then let's squash it. Ask certain questions. Well, first one is it actually true?
Is that true? Yeah.
Is it a load of bollocks?
Yeah.
And then how do we, and then you do trainings on like detaching from thoughts. It's like commitment and acceptance therapy. So it would be like, right, that's a thought.
Yeah.
How do you detach from that thought? Because you are not your thoughts.
How just let it drift by. Yeah.
People go, oh, I am my thoughts. I don't know if you've ever heard people like, I am my thoughts. I'm like, no, like, are you, let's give you another example. Are you your shit? And they'd be like, what the fuck do you mean? So like, shit is a product of the digestive system. It's what comes out. It's what excretes. You are not your shit. It's the same process as your brain. Your brain fires off these thoughts. You are not your thoughts. It's a byproduct of the brain.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I've never thought that.
The thing that I think
you're detaching them from the thoughts.
Yeah, the thing that I've seen with on this is, I think it's something to do with meditation. Like a thought's like a cloud. Loads of clouds are going to pass by, and you get to choose which one you fucking latch onto.
And that's what
I quite like that. Yeah, and that's what you're doing there.
Yeah, so there'd be loads of different trainings on it. So we go through what's the negative thoughts, and then let's do your belief systems. The negative thoughts they've had for years and years. It's the same thought over and over and over again, and they've never questioned it. Never questioned, is it they've just believed it.
Is it true? Can you absolutely know that it's true?
Yeah, it's the Byron Katie.
Yeah. Can you absolutely know that it's true? What's the opposite thought? Is that as true or truer than the original thought?
Yeah, I do that with players. Like, I do that with players. I'm like, right, it's on the. I did it yesterday. I'm someone with a manager, and they're like, I don't know how you're gonna do this or decipher this or turn this around, and then in the end, it was like, fucking hell.
It's mad when you feel that. You feel. I've seen you feel it because you feel that little like a light bulb's gone off, innit?
Yeah, and it's always like. Always the same thing. It's always a projection. So it's like, let's deal with that. How do you deal with negative thoughts? Well, first of all, you have to be aware of it. Then it's accepting you have the negative thought rather than arguing with
that's
it.
Okay. Yeah, that's okay.
You're human. The brain is designed to think negatively. It's not designed like that. People get themselves in a tiz. They're like,
think they're broken. They think they're broken because they have negative thoughts.
And they have these gurus on. Yeah. I have these fucking gurus on Instagram that drive you mad. They're like, just think positively. I'm like. Fuck off.
Yeah.
Fuck off. The brain's not designed to.
But also, I think thinking positive can sometimes make you fucking delusional as fuck. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? If you think positively all the time, you actually wouldn't make good decisions. So a footballer that only thinks positively wouldn't be aware of they wouldn't weigh up risk. They'd make decisions they'd be doing fucking Cruyff turns on the edge of their own box and shit. You know what I mean? Because they're not actually. So I actually think a negative thought can be fucking useful as fuck. Do you know what I mean? Like a negative thought could be useful.
Negative emotions are useful.
Yeah,
they tell you what to do. People think they call them negative. Yeah. They're just emotions.
Just feedback.
Yeah, feedback on what do you need to do next. Yeah. Like I'm feeling nervous. Yeah. Or I've
good.
Before a game, I feel really nervous. I'm like, nice. Nice. That's amazing. Maybe it's not nerves. Maybe it's adrenaline.
Excitement.
Yeah, maybe it's adrenaline, and maybe I've got a question for you. What does adrenaline make people do? What's the positive thing about adrenaline? This, and this. I'm like, so
makes me go. Makes me go. It's a sign to go. Yeah, let's move.
That actually helps you. That's actually really good for you because I got to that point where I was on a football pitch. I used to feel nervous. I'd be nervous in the tunnel, and you'll get to that point one day. One day you're going to get to that point. I promise you, it's going to come. Where you're going to be in the tunnel and your nerves have gone. And then you get onto the pitch, and this happened to me, and I was like,
I don't want to be here.
I don't want to be here anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, I always say that one. So I do obviously a lot of work with guys that are public speaking, ladies that are getting on a big stage. Like, how do you deal with the nerves? I'm like, it's just me body giving me the energy that I need to put on a fucking show, mate. Do you know what I mean? Because when I'm on, as soon as I'm on, it's kind of gone. Yeah. It's kind of gone because I'm in the moment, I'm present. You're nervous because you're not present. You're nervous because you're thinking about fucking too far ahead and what could go wrong and that. And I'm like, it's a good sign. It means you give a fuck. Yeah, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. It means you get. That's exactly.
It means you give a fuck. It means you fucking care.
Because you're gonna get to the point one day where you're gonna be like,
I'm not bothered about this.
I feel nothing. I feel numb. And that's when you know it's time to go. Yeah. Ben Foster would be in fit. He's just retired, and he's realised.
Max was blown away. He was like, Ben Foster's retired. I'm like, I think he just decided he was shit now. That's pretty much what he said. And
he's very self-aware.
I read it and I had a lot of time for that. I'm shit now. I'm retiring.
Yeah, he's been on. I've interviewed him. He's been on my podcast. Yeah. And he is amazing. His mindset is so good. Yeah. So self-aware. Yeah. Very emotionally intelligent. Yeah. Doesn't give a fuck if he makes a mistake. And people are like, well, you should care. He's like, why? How's that going to help me? Yeah. How is that any way going to help me?
It doesn't mean you don't want to win, does it? It doesn't mean you don't want to win.
As a goalkeeper, this is me. This is what most people do. You make a mistake, and this is any day life, and it doesn't matter, football, everyday life. When I made a mistake as a goalkeeper, I tried to make up for it. I'd come for balls that I should never have come for.
That's probably one of the hardest positions where you try. Not in goal.
You get worse.
Yeah.
Football, same as football. You try and make up for a mistake, you're going to get worse. And you'll see that with people in everyday life. They make a mistake, won't accept it, they try and make up for it, and then they get themselves in a tiz. Yeah. So it'd be like, you're going to make a mistake. Yeah. Can you just park it, done, move forward? Yeah. How can you move forward as quickly as... It's all about moving forward. Yeah. That's gone. Done. Move forward. The best players have the ability to move forward quickly than the other players.
How do you help players then? I know we talked about... I think we mentioned this with Luke yesterday, but how do you help players then feel... Because I think uncertainty is a big deal for a lot of people. I think there's many people who stay in situations that they don't like. They stay in jobs that they hate, relationships that aren't working for them simply because it makes them feel certain. Like, I often used to wonder, right, if you're so miserable, I'm telling you exactly what to do. You say you hate your life, and you're still not doing this shit. It's easy.
Fear.
It's just fear. It's the certain. At least I'm certain that I feel like shit.
Yeah.
If I do this, that's going to give me uncertainty.
It's all fear.
So how do you help people deal with? How do you help footballers deal with uncertainty?
So my first 4
How do you
weeks,
make them feel? Do you try and make them feel a little bit more certain, or do you just?
So by first of all getting help,
Yeah.
they already get certainty. They already get certainty just by getting help.
Don't feel like they're on their own.
They get certainty by, first of all, opening up, saying what they're struggling with. First 4 weeks is all down to beliefs and perceptions.
Yeah.
Flipping their thinking. So one of the first sessions I do with them is paradoxes. So I'm like, there's loads of paradoxes and like how it relates to football. So one of the first paradoxes, one of the only certainties in life is constant uncertainty. The only constant is the constant unknown.
Yeah.
That's one of the paradoxes.
Yeah.
Like when you just said one earlier.
Yeah.
Another paradox, the things you think aren't actually the things you think. So how can you get that feeling of certainty? So like, for example, journaling gives you the feeling of certainty. So we've got...
Sometimes data can give you certainty.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? Data can give you certainty. Plans, making a plan can make you feel a little bit more certain.
So that's what
having a backup plan can give you a little bit more certainty.
So it's the simple things that you'd get most people to do, but players don't do it. So it'd be, me and Luke have created our own journal with certain questions for footballers, asking them, what do you need to do today to work on your game?
Yeah, nice.
What food can you have? Let's plan out, like, what do you need to do this week? The stupid little shit.
Yeah, and then what went well today? You're asking them all that as well. What went well today? What did you do well?
Yeah, so it would be like, right, game review. So it would be like training review or match review.
Yeah.
Let's give yourself a score. What was positive about that? What's 3 learnings you can take away?
Nice.
What's something that I can work on? Or who can I get help from to help me with that part?
What surprised me, Rob, what surprised me and what I've noticed this, like, football's like a big team thing and it looks like a big community, but actually it seems like footballers seem like they're quite lonely, which I find that, and I've noticed it
very lonely
more and more, and I'm like, how can such a team thing where it looks like the team are together, the staff are together, the club's together, they're all on one team, the fans are all on one team. I'm like, actually, these footballers seem really lonely. A lot of them are like that. What's that?
Really lonely.
How does that happen?
You have
fear. Is it a fear thing, do you think? Dog eat dog, scared of losing their place to someone? Ego? Are they isolating themselves?
Really trying to think about it, like from experiences. So yeah, you'll find players are very lonely. They have a very small circle. Like a very small circle.
It's a trust thing then, isn't it?
Trust.
Yeah.
Like
they don't trust many people.
I've been to players' weddings, like, and the number of players that they have there, you'd think they'd all be footballers. You could probably count them on one hand.
It's mad, isn't
how
it?
many of them are footballers?
It's trust, isn't it? It is trust.
Yeah, trust. It's a trust thing.
Yeah, they're told to keep their circle small.
Yeah,
they don't want to let people in case they start telling fucking stories about them. Yeah,
it's a real big trust thing. It's who you trust. So yeah, it's I still find it bamboozling. Yeah, been to so many events like that are players, and they'd be like,
"Why is he not there? How's he not there?"
3 players.
Yeah, it's I always think that. I'm like, I'm thinking, when you see like who's mates with who. Like you see someone's Instagram, they're like, "Oh, you're still mates with him." Like the guy that I know, who's got the house a couple of doors up, he's friends with. I'm like, "Oh shit!" I've seen them on holiday together. I'm like, "Oh, they're mates. They played together years ago." It's really strange.
Yeah, they're really people you brought up through the academy. You've been through the academy with. It would be them kind of people. You have to think you move. You have
Jack Colback's one of them. You know Jack Colback?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's mates with a lad that I know, and they went through the academy together.
So you've built that trust over a long time.
Yeah.
Players,
because a lot of teams aren't together, especially League One, League Two. You can get an entire team broken apart after a season.
You ain't going to be together that long.
Me mate Millsy's got a box at Barnsley. They lose so many players every year. When they have a good season, they lose. I've seen them I'm like, they've lost 8 players and the manager every season. Every time they have a good season, the turnover of players is so high. Like there's not actual relationships getting built, is there?
That's why I become really good friends with players.
Yeah.
Like the players that you help become like your clients. You become really good friends because you're like, do you know what? I'm going to talk about. I'm not going to be this person who's like
sucking up to you.
Yeah,
I'm not going to put you on a pedestal.
Suck up to you. Yeah, I'm going to tell you how it is, but I'm not this perfect person who's got all my shit sorted.
Yes,
I'm not. I'm going to talk to you about it. And I'm going to tell you about it.
Yeah,
one, it's going to make you feel better.
Yeah. Like you're not the only one.
Yeah. It's going to make you feel better about yourself. And then what happens is, as the more vulnerable that I am, the more vulnerability I get back. And then,
mate.
Vulnerability meets vulnerability. How do you be you can't. That's why a lot of the time, therapists and counsellors, they're not allowed to talk about their shit. They're not allowed to talk about themselves.
Yeah.
They have to.
You know what's mad, mate? Now that you've said that, when I was struggling so much, when I was rock bottom, I'm a bipolar, I was fucking super low back in the day, I'd go and see a shrink, which took a lot of effort, but a lot of effort, because I couldn't get out of fucking bed. Lesley would have to drag me. If you don't go here, I'm fucking leaving you. All that kind of shit, right? And I'd go, and I'd look across the table, they'd ask me a question, I'd be like, nah, I'm out. Because I could see that they didn't get it. But if they'd have said, I get it, I might have. Do you know what I mean? They're into me straight away. Like, oh, have you kept a mood diary? Fuck off, man. Honestly, I was such a dick back then, because I'd just look at someone and be like, you don't get it. As soon as I met someone that got it, who just so happened to be a mad cunt on the other side of the world, I was like, I'm in. As soon as I seen a Garrett J. White video, I'm like, this guy speaks my language. Of course, I'll give him 10 grand in a 3-minute conversation. Of course, I'll fly to Laguna Beach and have a fight with a man I've never met on the beach. It's mad that, but I understood it because he got it. And I think that's actually how people ended up gravitating towards me, because I told my truth. And people are like, oh shit, I need to hear that.
That's what I like, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, do you know what I mean? Like, it's like, I'm going to share what's going on for me. It's a strange thing, that, isn't it? Like, we think we have to be perfect.
Yeah, I always say, listen, you're fucked up, you're fucked up, you're fucked up, you're fucked up, I'm fucked up. We're all fucked. Yeah. Some of us just willing to admit it.
Yeah.
No one's got their shit sorted.
We do an event here where we share. It's like at the end of a 90-day program where everyone shares their letdowns, they're disappointed, what promises they're broken. And as you're going through, you can feel the energy drop in the room. And I'm like, see, you're all as fucking shit as each other. Because you just think you're shit. I'm so shit, I'm so this. And then you're actually, fucking hell, he's shit as well. And that's what I was saying about when I've met these people, I'm like, oh, he's just a normal guy. I mean, Tyson Fury comes in a fucking transit van. Everyone knows this shit. Oh, I've just came from the tip. I go to the tip 5 times a week. Gets his phone out to take a selfie. It's fucking smashed as fuck. Like, this guy's just got paid 100 million quid for fighting Deontay Wilder. And he's just normal guy. Do you know what I mean?
Like knowing who you are.
Aye.
Authenticity is a big one in football. There's so many that you said that I want to pick up on.
Yeah.
The last bit you said about like knowing someone doesn't get you, and that's the problem with football clubs. So they all have to have, like, an academy, you have to have a psychologist, and you have psychologists in football clubs.
Yeah.
Theory based, been through uni,
never kicked the ball,
never played football.
Yeah.
And then you're expected
never been in an academy, never been criticised.
And you're expected to go to a psychologist that has never played football, doesn't get it.
Yeah, and that's what happened to me, mate.
Never been in the game, and you're like,
you're just reading out of a fucking book. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're all
stuff.
theory.
No experience. No experience of going through the shit.
Yeah.
Young.
Mate, it's so bang on. I remember going to see Ron Shrink. It was only around the corner. It was when I wasn't even low at this point. It was for like a review or something. And she was like, you're manic now, aren't you? I was like, no. She's like, you're manic now. I was like, no, this is me. This is my energy. You know what I mean? She's like, no, you're manic. And I went, fuck off. And I just left, and I never, that was the break. That was where it broke me. I was like, I'm wasting my fucking time in this system. Like she just didn't, you're manic. I was like, I'm not manic. It's not even a thing. I'm just a high energy guy. Like, it's so, and it just did me fucking head in. And I was like, you don't get this. And then I just started paying more attention to people that spoke my language. I'd never heard anyone talk about my problems in the way that this guy did. Using the language, saying the things that I actually thought that it was only me that had those thoughts. You know what I mean?
Then you realise.
Oh, actually, it's not just me.
Yeah.
He's weird as fuck as well. I'm joking, but yeah.
Same in football. That's why I did the podcast. I'm like, right, why don't you come on and speak about it? So I'm going to take you through a journey. Then you're going to be the inspiration to other people.
Yes.
Like, you're going to help others. You're right. You're in the to me stage.
Yep.
And then let's make things happen for you. And then let's go, how can things happen through you? How can you make this happen through you? So, like, come on the podcast. Talk about, and as you talk about on the podcast, you'll realize, oh my God, I know all this stuff's going to start coming out. And you'll be like, where the fuck did that come from?
Yeah. Yeah.
Then you're going to come on an academy call.
Yeah.
And then you're going to be an inspiration to others, and they're going to ask you questions. And then you're going to start being, actually, I do know my stuff. You've been through, you're taking them on a journey.
You feel like you're having an impact.
So you've got to make an experience where, if an experience isn't sitting, if you take a footballer, one of their biggest fears is the fear of judgment.
Yeah.
Fear of judgment. So what you want to do is now take him into an office and sit with someone who's got a clipboard. And be like, how does that make you feel? And then not say anything.
Yeah.
Be like, well, people come to me is because I swear. I swear a lot, and I'll swear.
I love the way you say cunt.
Yeah. I'll swear a lot. I'll be. I think it's taken a lot of time and a lot of learning about authenticity. People talk about authenticity a lot. It's just showing up, wherever you are, being the same you. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like
my thing with authenticity is just
if you go on that,
it's just not covering up your imperfections and your insecurities. Like, because that's what I just don't be inauthentic. And inauthentic just means you're covering up your insecurities, you're covering up your perceived imperfections. And when you have to do that, that's acting. You're just acting.
That's what happens in football.
Yeah, you're hiding.
It's a lot of mask wearing. It's a lot of acting. It's the alpha males. You're young lads. They're young lads. That's what people forget. They're young lads and they're trying to find their way in the world.
Still trying to figure out who the fuck they are.
Yeah, and then you still want to be a part of the group. You want to be liked by everyone. You want to be liked. Like when you get older, that's why people older come to me. They're like, stop giving a fuck.
Really?
Yeah, just stop giving a fuck about people liking me. I'm just gonna.
Yeah.
They become more authentic because they've dropped that need to be liked. Another experience.
Tell you what I love, a footballer. Grealish is a fucking G.
Yeah,
mate.
That is authenticity.
He's authentic, but what he's got now is some people love it and some people are hating. Oh, what a terrible example.
But he won't care.
He's fucking nah.
He is unapologetically himself.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if you hear in an interview, if you see him out, he is himself. He's not willing to be, he's not changing. And that's what you see with players. They will change due to their
I tell you what, I love Declan Rice as well. I think these players, because they're all about the same age, they're probably starting to break this thing.
Hope so.
Yeah, me too. Declan Rice is awesome. Like when he gets interviewed, I fucking love it.
Yeah.
Like, because he always just says, he's just like a normal fucking lad.
Haaland.
Loving. Haaland's great,
really good. He just wants to learn and be the best he could be. Like I saw a clip of him the other day asking for feedback. Like asking Thierry Henry.
Really?
Like, what would you do differently?
No, really?
If you was me and then, yeah. Like,
Did you see that one where Grealish was saying to Thierry Henry, do you think you could beat Kyle Walker?
No.
When in your peak, do you think you could beat Kyle Walker? I was there. He said, "Can I ask you a question, Thierry?" He said, "Do you think you could beat him?" And he was going, "Of course I could." He was like, "Of course I could." Yeah. And Kyle Walker was going, "No."
I think,
and I love that kind of thing.
Yeah, like when you get that, it's so refreshing, and that's what I get people to do. I'm like, not everyone's going to.
You give them a bit of a platform to do that.
Yeah, and then.
And it's safe as well, what you're doing, innit? It's not like, fucking hell, let's get you exposed on Sky Sports News. This is fucking...
We've done that.
I think I tagged you in something the other day about a great person for your interview. Simon.
I've done that. Like, I always talk about people with their problems. And they're like, I say, listen, this problem, you can let it have power over you, or you can empower it. That's up to you. Yeah. Like, let's empower that problem.
Yeah.
An example, and this is what
his story's amazing.
Is it?
Yeah, yeah. His wife died when like they had a young kid, and she got diagnosed with like brain cancer or something. Yeah, she died within about 2 weeks. So he's left with a young kid, wife, and hadn't even been married that long. Died really quickly, and then he had a fucking meltdown on Monday night. He was the guest on Monday Night Football. Yeah. Had a meltdown, had a panic attack, and it didn't work for like 5 years. And now he's got Jeff's job. He's the new fucking Jeff Stelling, isn't he?
He's good at it as well.
Unbelievable, Simon. And then he's been booze free. He's like 2 weeks behind me, I think. So his story's inspirational.
Yeah, so many people got stories. I'm like, look, make that work for you, not against you.
Yeah.
Elliot Lee I got him to come on the podcast. Yeah. So when he said to me, he was playing golf, and he's like, Rob, I've got something to tell you. I have these intrusive thoughts, and literally the only people I know are like 1, 2, 3, and you. Yeah. I'm like, amazing. In 12 weeks, you're going to come and talk about that on the podcast. And you're going to tell everyone. Was
that the start of your coaching with them, like?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I do stupid shit with them at the start. Yeah. So I won't just... I like to make it an experience. Like we meet up and then I'll play golf.
Yeah.
Golf.
And
then I'll put the stuff in a practical sense so it makes sense. So like the attention channels training. So they'll be on the tee, ready to tee off, and then I'll call their name, and then I'll just start launching golf balls at them.
Yeah.
what the fuck are you doing? They're catching one that's coming at them. They're dodging one. I'm like, right, first of all, when I was throwing them golf balls at you, you just caught one, you dodged that one. Did you think about it? Did you think about what way that golf ball was coming, what fast it was going on? No, right, that's flow state. That's flow state. You was completely immersed in it.
Yep.
You didn't think, you did it on automation.
Yep.
First lesson, flow state. Next lesson, attention channels,
Yep.
right? When them balls were coming at you, right, they were coming so it's external and it's narrow. That's flow state, external narrow. And then you'll have, then they're going to go and take a next shot. I'm like, right, that's your first lesson. They're going to take the next shot. What are you focusing on now? They're like, what are you looking at as you're looking up? Well, I'm looking at the trees. I'm thinking about the wind. I'm like, cool. That's external broad. So now you're switching channels, and then you're looking at the golf ball. You're going from this channel to this channel. Now what you thinking? So as it comes through, you're putting it into a practical experience, because if you just theory it, it's hard to make sense of.
Yeah.
So when
totally
players
is.
lose form, and then you go, right, golf's a really good one, because you can see that, like expectations.
There's nothing really good about golf.
Oh, it is.
Shite.
One of the best games in the world. One of the best games in the world.
Ruins a good walk.
Oh, it enhances a good walk. Because you get to hit a ball while you're going
Too
round.
many rules. Too much bullshit.
You don't play with the rules.
Can't take your phone in the
That's what you call them golf cunts.
A golf.
Yeah.
He said you call them golf cunts.
Yeah, they're like,
you fucking
in
cunt.
front, you're like, oh, they're fucking golf cunts.
Really?
Yeah, they're lining up this. They're waiting for each player to take a shot. Just fucking hit the shot. Like,
Yeah,
just take golf cunts. And they're not letting you they're not letting you through. They're like, oh, golfing etiquette.
Oh, my
but golf talk. I've seen so many things that you can see about players just by playing golf.
Really?
Yeah. First of all, the expectation is they're going to go round in par. They're going to go round and they're going to get a par on each hole.
Because they're good at football.
Yeah, but that's
Things
their
should be good at
expectation.
golf.
And they fall. So, like, for example, really, you're in a handicap 18, you're 1 over, yeah?
A lot of footballers play golf, innit, in their spare time.
Spare time.
I'm sure some of them young guys at Sunderland, Roberts and Clark, and that play a lot of golf.
Spare time.
Yeah.
Spare time. You can chill. You can relax. No, but most, as I said, you see players. I've been with a player and he started smashing the bin up. I'm like, well, we know your problem. Like hitting the golf club. Like I've been with people like coaches and then launching the golf clubs into trees. I'm like, when the shit hits the fan, you've gone.
And you react like that.
You've reacted to anger, and then it's like, I'm fucking walking off the golf course. I'm not dealing with this shit anymore. You can't reset. You have to. That's gone. Next hole.
Yeah.
It's like football.
Yeah.
You've made a mistake. If you're doing that in golf, in a friendly knockabout.
Aye.
How are you going to react to that on the pitch? What's that going to be like?
30,000 fucking fans giving you shit for what you just did.
Yeah, your head's going to fall off.
Yeah.
So let's start training so you can see so much, and then I'll change their expectations. So I'll be like, right, instead of playing this, it's a par 3, and you're expecting to hit it in 3, and then you're hitting to hit a par 4 in 4. Let's change your expectations. Make that par 3 a 4, like that par 4 a 5, 5 and a 6. Yeah. So then what happens is because they've changed their expectation, if they hit a shot, their head don't fall off.
Because they've got one in the tank.
Yeah, because they're like, well, I don't have to smash it onto the green. I don't have to smash it 300 yards. Yeah. If I hit it 150 yards, I've got an extra shot. And then it automatically, they go round in one of the best games they've ever had.
Yeah.
Just because they've shifted their expectations. Yeah. So what you're doing is, like, if they play golf, there's so many lessons that you can, practical lessons, and I can teach all these lessons.
In a way that's easier to understand.
In a way that's
why I love to draw things. You'll notice that I draw a lot of things. I draw on things because that's how I like to learn. Same. And I think it makes things and actually I can remember it. If I draw it, I think that people remember what it looks like, what the layout is. Whereas if it's a load of words coming out of my mind, it's harder to remember. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it's harder. I think often, like, some of the beliefs that we have are just shit that we've remembered. It's easier to remember.
I do exactly the same thing. I draw everything out. I had a meeting with this bloke, wanted to meet. He was a professional sport. He's got 2,000 staff, and we ended up in a meeting the other day. And I'm in his office, potentially me doing some trainings and stuff. And next thing you know, he's sitting down. We've gone for a meeting. I'm up on the whiteboard. Drawing things out. Like, you don't mind if, like, he's sitting down, like, the CEO of the company, and I'm fucking
straight on. Mate, that happens in my meetings every so often. Yeah. Callum, who was at the bar, you know Callum, Callum will get up sometime. We'll be in a meeting. He'll just get up and start drawing on my whiteboard. I'm like, mate, do you want the microphone as well? It's mad. But that model thing really works for some people. In fact, Alex Hormozy, who you mentioned before, his books are full of those drawings. Russell Brunson, same. Because people fucking can, I think people can get that. And I think people, also a lot of people can learn really well like that instead of trying to, like some people do better with audiobooks, some people do better with normal books.
And footballers, if you take footballers, they learn kinesthetically.
Yes.
They learn by touch.
Yes.
They learn by doing. That's why taking them onto a golf course or having a practical experience, they get it more.
Yeah.
Like they'll always go, what are you going to do after training? What are you going to do after, I'm going to be a trainer or a coach. I'm going to be, we said, Tommy Hoburn followed you the other day. So story about him, I retired him at 27. So he come to me trying to get the edge on his performance. One of Luke's really
Centre back.
And then,
my knowledge of football's really weird. Isn't it really weird? You sometimes think, how the fuck do you know that?
Yeah,
like these random players.
And he comes to me presenting one problem that was.
Who did he play for? Watford?
Played for Watford, Blackburn, Aberdeen. Loads of injuries.
Yeah.
But you present a problem, and then the problem wasn't the problem. And he said to me, so as you go, you obviously listened. As you've done it for so many years, you can see, like, you can hear someone, you're like, I know what your problem is.
Yeah.
I know what it is.
Yeah.
Like, it's really simple.
Yes.
And he'd be like, talking about investments, talking about this and that. And then as he was going through, it's like, doing all this stuff, do you know what it's made me realise? I need to retire. I need to retire from football.
Really?
Like, cool, yeah. So I'm going to be a personal trainer. I'm like, Tommy, you ain't a fucking personal trainer. You'd be miserable. You're a financial advisor. You're a financial advisor. All you've talked about is how your dad made you invest at a young age, how you've got this and this and this, and it all leaves clues. Now he's a financial advisor for footballers.
Oh, okay.
But he still plays, so 27 years old, but had all these injuries.
Yeah.
You can see the problems. Like, you see it, you've seen it, you hear it upstairs.
Yeah, it's really,
This is why I love coming to the...
Well, sometimes I laugh. Sometimes I laugh. I'm like, I get this one. You're just looking for permission, aren't you? Like, do you know what I mean? You're just looking for me to say that's okay, aren't you?
It's my favourite day because I'm going... I'm listening to what you say, and I'm then going, what would I say?
Yeah.
Because you can hear it, you're like, I know what you need to do.
Yeah.
I know what you need
it's
to
like
do.
when, sometimes I always say this, like, a lot of people don't have a business problem, they have like a them problem. I'm like, you know exactly what to fucking do, mate. Do you know what I mean? You just can't, there's some limiting belief, there's some fucking blockage that you have about why you can't do it.
Yeah, and I'm
do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Hence why I come to you. Mine's a business thing. It'd be like, you get overwhelmed, you overthink things, and you're like, I can see, I'm great at seeing other people's, but I need someone to look at it from a different lens.
Mate, that's exactly, people think I'm mental for having a business coach. Like, you paid him what for one day? I paid him 15 grand for a day. I've said, because he can, when you're not in the thing, I can't see the blind spots in my business because I live in it. Do you know what I mean? And by the way, when you have a business, if you're doing really well, you actually do live it. Like, it's not, when people say, oh, do you switch off? I'm like, no, not really. I do. I love going to football. I love fucking watching football. I love talking about football. I love training jiu-jitsu when I'm not fucking injured. But ultimately, there's a lot of thought about business all the time, but I can't see the blind spots. Someone that's not in it.
Is that a problem?
It's not. It's not a problem.
If you love it.
Oh, I love it. I value it highly.
It's fun.
You know, when we get asked a lot of the time, me and Lesley, oh, do you like leave business at the office? I'm like, no, we both really love what we do. Why would we force ourselves to stop talking about something that we love doing? It's really weird.
It's like fun.
It's weird. You talk about, I find it, when people talk about what do you value, I'm like, the things that you naturally talk about and you start talking faster when you talk about them. You'll see me with football all the time, a nightmare. Yeah. Someone tells me where they live. I'm like, oh, you support them, do you? They're like, no, I don't even like football. I'm like, oh, you should. You know what? Someone, oh, do you live in Shrewsbury? Yeah. Someone be, I live in Shrewsbury. I'm like, oh, there's two ex-Sunderland players at Shrewsbury. Winchester and fucking Flanagan both play for Shrewsbury. And they're like, Paul, I've got no interest. It's so weird. But what you talk about often with passion, that'll demonstrate what you value. Do you know what I mean? It's like...
And you can see it stick out like a sore thumb.
Oh, sometimes I'm like, am I boring everyone else here?
People think it's a problem because... People 9 to 5, they hate their jobs.
Yeah.
So they want
to switch off.
They want to switch off from it. I love talking about, that's my element of fun. It gives me so many opportunities. I get to go to Rome for a wedding. I get to go and speak at football clubs. I get to be around.
The first thing I thought was, have you been to a Roma match yet? Have you been?
Yeah,
it's fucking unreal. Mate, it's unreal.
I scared the fuck out.
The fans there are better than the team.
Yeah, mad.
It's wild.
I was there and they were throwing it was against Juventus, and I was
shit, what a game.
Close to the Juventus fans.
Yeah.
And they're throwing. I was like, is there any? First of all, I didn't have a seat. I was like, someone's in my seat.
I'm not saying
everyone's
anything.
in. Just go in the aisles. And
Oh, you
like,
in the standing bit? Yeah.
Where's the is this like ridiculous? Where's the stewards?
Yeah.
Oh.
We're not getting in
They
there.
realise what's coming up.
Yeah, it's mad. It's
They're
mad.
throwing flashbangs into the Roma end, the Juventus fans.
Oh,
like,
shit.
And I said, no one, and it just, the whole thing cleared, and I was like, oh my fucking God, we're going to die.
Shit.
We could potentially die. Yeah, when you go to an English football match, to like that Roma football match, that was an experience. And I get to go to so many football games.
It's class.
I used to support Man United. Everyone's like, who do you support? I'm like,
Well, I thought it was weird that he supported Man United. I was like, he's not Man United.
My dad.
Really?
When I first started liking football, he liked Man United because of George Best. As soon as he said, who do you support? Because all my friends supported Arsenal, but probably Arsenal.
Well, that's what I always thought you supported Arsenal.
And then he picked me up. So he picked me up, put me over the wheelie bin.
Yeah.
Hold me with one leg.
No.
Yeah, and he was like, I'm going to ask you again. Who do you support?
Yeah.
Man United, Dad. I support Man United.
That's
Man United.
mental.
And then obviously I supported Man United from there. And then now I've been in football, I support the players that I help. Jen's like, how many teams do you support? Like on Saturday when live scores coming on, I'm like, can you check the results? Can you check?
Yeah.
Wrexham. Bolton. Wickham.
Yeah. Wimbledon.
Portsmouth. Wimbledon.
Sunderland.
Man United. Sunderland.
Sometimes Arsenal.
Yeah.
I love it.
I can't do Arsenal.
Rob, tell me about this then. How do people find out more about what you do?
So at Elite Inner Performance and
on Instagram.
On Instagram.
Yep.
In a Game Academy. If you're a parent and you got a young lad who needs help, our aim isn't just to give them the skills in football, but in life too. So we have different
that's
courses.
part of why I wanted you on.
We've got courses for parents. Courses for parents.
How not to be one of those football parents?
Yeah.
Is that what's in there?
Car journey home. Yeah. How to communicate with your kids. So we've got.
Shit.
Yeah, because they don't realise they're the problem.
Yeah.
They're one of the biggest problems.
Yeah. So they're usually the ones putting the most pressure on. I've had that with my kids before. That's why Max is 12 and he's only just getting into football. When he's 4 or 5, I'd be like, you're going to football, son. I don't care if you don't like it, you're going. I love football, so you have to love football. And then by 7, he's like, Dad, I'm never playing football again, and I'm never going to a match. And he's just started playing now, and he's like, Dad, I wish I'd...
behind. Same as Callum.
Really?
Callum, yeah, he did. Because all the kids, they're not into... They don't play football as much anymore. No. A lot of them don't play football. It's in Fortnite.
There's no just playing on the street.
No.
It's just like you're either in a club, you either go to official training, or you don't.
Yeah. You don't play on the street. Nah. It's Fortnite. It's all. They're all connecting by Xbox, PlayStation, and then later on, now he loves football.
Yeah,
he loves football.
It's mad, isn't it?
Now he wants to go to Sunderland games. He's like, what game do you want to go to? He's like, Sunderland.
By far the greatest team the world's ever seen. I love it.
He was like, Jen said to him the other day, what game do you want to go to? What game do you want to go to? He's like, I want to go to Sunderland, and then I want to go to Wrexham, and then I want to go to
Everton last.
No, you don't want to go to Everton.
Wait, I'm not surprised. The fucking garbage. I can't believe it. I can't believe it.
Why do you make me support Everton? Why do you make me support this
I watched the game at the weekend. We're talking about stuff that no one else is interested. But that game at the weekend, they were terrible. And they're not even signing anyone.
They can't.
Nah, it's mad. No. Some investors just pulled out as well. They're fucked.
Yeah,
should we start a football podcast?
Yeah, why not? Come on, I'm looking for new
We'll go to Inner Game Academy.
Inner Game Academy, Elite Inner Performance.
Yeah.
I've got audiobooks. So the audiobooks is probably the best one.
Yeah.
Young footballers, www.confidenceinfootball.com. Go and listen to that. That's me and Luke talking about the biggest problems in football.
Yeah, nice.
Go and get that. We've got a podcast, Inner Game Academy podcast, Footballers Mindset podcast.
Oh, nice.
We've got a lot of free
resources.
Just because we just want, at the end of the day, we want to help people.
Yeah.
That's our aim.
See.
Have the bigger impact.
Love it. One more question. What should I ask you that I didn't ask? Someone asked me that once. I was like, fuck. What should I have asked you that I didn't ask? Because we covered a lot of ground there about we had a lot of places to go.
Yeah. What did you ask me? That's a deep question that takes a lot of thinking. Not something you can answer on the spot.
I love it. That's exactly what I said when I got asked that question. You bastard!
Because you want to come up with it would just be a
something,
shit one.
Yeah, amazing.
I'd rather not do a shit one. I'd rather do a proper deep question.
Yeah. That Rob's laughing because I just fell out my seat. Rob Blackburne, thank you so much, my man. It has been unbelievable.